we're visiting one of London's most famous museums, the Victoria and Albert Museum, better known as the V&A. Our journey starts at South Kensington Station, and one of the best things is how easy it is to get here. Once you arrive, you can simply follow the signs through the underground passage leading straight toward the museum. There's something quite nice about this walk. It feels like a transition point from the rush of the tube and the city outside into a completely different atmosphere. You start with crowds, station noise, and people moving quickly, but step by step, it starts to feel more like the beginning of a proper museum day. And of course, we had to do a quick check-in on camera. We made it in here, we survived the station crowd, and now it's time to explore. As we continue down the tunnel, you can already feel the anticipation building. You know you're heading somewhere iconic, and even a simple walkway like this starts to feel like part of the experience. And then, finally, we arrived at the V&A. The Victoria and Albert Museum is known for art, design, sculpture, fashion, performance, and decorative history from all over the world. It's one of those places where you can come in expecting just a normal museum visit and then very quickly realize it's much bigger, grander, and more detailed than expected. Once inside, the scale of the museum becomes obviously almost immediately. The first spaces already feel impressive with high ceilings, grand galleries, and huge works surrounding you from every direction. There's a sense of richness here that doesn't just come from the objects themselves, but from the way everything is displayed. Even the rooms feel like part of the exhibition. As we walk further in, we are surrounded by enormous paintings, sculptures, and architectural pieces that instantly make the museum feel both historic and dramatic. One of the first things that stands out is the sculpture court. This space is filled with classical forms, marble figures, detailed carvings, and monumental works that immediately grab your attention. It feels open, elegant, and almost cinematic, especially with the natural light coming through. What makes this part so interesting is that it doesn't just feel like a room full of statues. It feels like a collection of stories frozen in stone, each work carrying its own character, movement, and emotion. As we continue through the gallery, these details become even more impressive, from the figures themselves to the carved architectural elements around them. There's so much craftsmanship packed into every corner. And that's really one of the strongest things about the V&A. It's not just about seeing famous objects, it's about seeing how much time, skill, and imagination went into making them. Further in, we start seeing even more elaborate pieces, decorative structures, carved pulpits, large stone monuments, and beautifully preserved artworks fill the space. Some pieces feel grand and ceremonial, while others feel incredibly personal and delicate. There's also this contrast throughout the museum that makes it especially enjoyable. One moment you're looking at a massive sculpture or towering column. At the next, you're drawn into tiny details, textures, patterns, and handcrafted surfaces that reward a slower look. The architecture of the museum itself adds so much to the experience too. The ceilings, arches, columns, and long sidelines all make each room feel like part of me. Continuous visual journey. As we move through more galleries, the mood starts to shift slightly. Some rooms feel bright and open, while others feel darker, quieter, and more reflective. The lighting changes, the colors deepen, and certain works begin to stand out in a more dramatic way. The contrast makes the visit feel dynamic. It never feels like you're just walking through the same type of room again and again. Each section has its own atmosphere. Some of the religious and historical pieces feel especially striking, not just because of their size, but because of the level of detail. The gold accents, painted panels, carved wood, and decorative structures are honestly a bit mind-blowing up close. You can really sense how these objects were made not only to function, but also to inspire awe. They were designed to be seen, admired, and remembered. And when you get closer, the craftsmanship becomes even more impressive. The patterns, colors, layering, and ornamentation show just how much artistry went into every section. It's the kind of detail that cameras can capture only partly. In person, it hits differently. Eventually, we make our way toward the end of this part of the visit, stepping back out toward the exterior spaces of the museum. And after spending time inside, surrounded by so much art, design, and history, it leaves a very strong impression. The V&A doesn't just feel like a museum full of objects, it cultures all brought together under one roof. So far, this visit has already been worth it. From the walk into South Kensington to the galleries filled with sculpture, architecture, paintings, and decorative masterpieces. Thank you for watching, everyone. See you next time.